Tango Tango Papa 2087, December 17, 2021.
Have we seen the actual reality of a monstrous crime? Or merely an illusion, the product of a tortured brain?
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Tom Wiles here with you, coming to you from home. So, made it home actually yesterday, early yesterday evening. I guess it was about 6 o'clock, 6 p.m. They had me take the trailer that I had to a place up in Rogers, Arkansas, and drop it. I would have done that last night, but I was running out of hours of service. Didn't have enough hours of service remaining, so I took the trailer up there fairly early this morning, and then bobtailed back home. And of course, the reason they wanted the trailer dropped at this place up in Rogers was so that the trailer just wouldn't be parked the entire time that I'm off for my vacation. And I can understand that. They, try to keep the equipment and employees utilized as much as they possibly can. So I'm doing another experiment, this time with a green screen behind me. And if you actually look at the video, you can see it looks pretty good, except there's a little problem. It would be kind of in the center of the screen. You're going to see a little, I don't know what you'd call that, imperfection would be one way of saying it. So, and it's probably, there's a hot spot because of the lighting. So I bought this green screen from Amazon, and it's really neat because it's a one-piece thing, and it works sort of like Venetian blinds, except it pulls up, and it's got a spring inside, and the green screen actually rolls up. And then whenever you're done, you just lower the thing back down into the base and close the lid. It rolls it back up, close the lid, and you can store the thing vertically, in a closet. So that's actually pretty neat. Until a few days ago, I didn't even realize anything like that existed, because the only other green screen I ever messed with was a cheap thing that was folded up. It was a piece of, well, actually, I got it right here. I can show it to you. Hang on. Yeah, let's see if this will it won't show up in the video because it's a green screen. But this isn't going to show up. But anyway, well, wait a minute. I bet you I can make it show up. Let's see if I turn that. Okay, so what I want to do is click that and then click that, and it's still not going to show up. Anyway, it's just a piece of canvas. It's showing up in the video. It shows up as being black. So let me turn that back on. In case you're just listening to the audio, what is the behind me in the green screen right now is actually it's like a bookshelf. It's a picture, kind of a high-resolution picture of a bookshelf. And if it weren't for it's probably a hot spot, meaning that it's probably my shadow, I think, that's causing the problem, maybe. earlier today, it was daylight, and of course, it would be to my left. There's a window, and that was allowing more light in. Then, of course, now it's kind of late in the evening, and so I have an overhead light on, and then, of course, there's light coming from the pretty large computer screen. And then I've also got an additional light, and that may be kind of casting a shadow. It probably is. I don't know. I might try turning that off, and, well, let's just experiment. Why not? See what happens if I turn that off. Nothing. Probably made it a little better. Yeah, it made it a little bit, but not much. Didn't affect it. So I knew that I was going to I figured I was going to have a lot more trouble lighting the green screen than I did, because I just kind of unpacked it and opened it up and raised it up, and started experimenting with it on the computer. And I actually got pretty good results right away, because if you watch YouTube videos about green screens, they're talking about how problematic they could be, and you've got to get get them lit as evenly as possible. And that's really the problem right here, is that it's just not lit properly. So, but it's working pretty well if you watch the video. So anyway, I'm experimenting with this, and so I made a little trip to Best Buy, and I bought something called a Stream Deck. And I didn't buy. They have this was sort of like, it's just called a Stream Deck. They have a Stream Deck Lite or Mini or whatever that's just got fewer buttons on it, and then they've got this other one that's Stream Deck XL. And what it does is it has like 32 buttons. And basically these are sort of aimed at people that are doing like gaming, streaming type stuff. I've never really gotten much into the streaming thing. And again, the reason I haven't is because of the bandwidth limitations that I've always had. So, I may do more of that in the future. Kind of get into it a little bit. So, because but in any case, you can think of this Stream Deck, you plug it into a USB port on your computer, and it's sort of like it has, I don't know if it would show up in the video. Let's see, maybe it will. If I can get it kind of aimed at the camera. Okay, so yeah, it's showing up pretty well if I can get it kind of in front of the camera a little bit. I've got it in my hand, and so it has a screen in there, and you have these programmable buttons, and so you just, on the application on the computer, you just drag the various applications that you want, or little apps, or you can think of them really as macros. You can drag them to the appropriate little square on that's represented on the computer program, and then it kind of puts it, an actual icon, like a little video icon in the square buttons. And so there's a total of 15 buttons on this, and I don't have them all programmed yet. But I can see where this could be, a device like this could be quite handy, because it can function as a soundboard, it can launch programs, it can go to websites, it can do all kinds of things, really only limited by your imagination. The other thing I got at Best Buy was this microphone. It's by the way, these are both Elgato products. So this Elgato Stream Deck, and then this microphone's called an Elgato Wave 3. And it's likely not as good as the Heil PR40. I kind of, this is a condenser mic, whereas the Heil PR40 is a dynamic mic. Condenser mics tend to pick up a lot more background noise, so you're probably hearing some computer fans. Whereas the Heil PR40, if you get very far away from it, the sound really drops off. But the Heil PR40's got some serious, it's just a very nice microphone. It sounds pretty good, and it's got some, some decent low-end response, and I'm not really sure what the low-end response of this Elgato is. Called a Wave 3, and it's a USB microphone that's also an audio. It also is basically an audio mixer as well, so that's because it's USB, so that it's really a sound card with a sort of mixing functionality built into it. That is also a USB microphone. And then the other thing I got was this microphone, like an extension arm type thing. And that I've got the microphone mounted on. And that's actually kind of nice to not, because otherwise, that Heil PR40, I always have to hold it. And it's really not designed to be a like a handheld microphone, but it will work as that. So, but the problem I've always had is, I had the Heil PR40 as well as the little USB mixer thing that I have. And what I would have to do if, whenever I was home and I wanted to record a podcast, I'd have to go out to the truck and, climb up in there and dig that stuff out and then bring it into the house and then record the podcast. And then, of course, then whenever I would, I would either take it all back out there when I was done with it so I wouldn't forget it, or I would have to remember to, not run off and leave it whenever I'd go back to work, because obviously then I wouldn't be able to, I could probably still record a podcast, but it wouldn't be the same, because I wouldn't have the right equipment. So with this setup, I should be able to just, the idea is, this is just a kind of a spare bedroom that I've had computers set up in, the entire time I've lived in, 26 years I've lived in this house when I got it new. And so that's, I can just leave the thing set up this way with the green screen and, with a kind of a, basically sort of like a little podcasting studio where I can also do some video at. And lately I've kind of, like I said, I've kind of been bitten by the video bug a little bit more. And so what I want to do is, kind of continue with it. Now I'm not really expecting miraculous numbers of views on YouTube. That's not going to happen. And that's not why I'm doing it. I'm doing it, I think, well, for one thing, because I'm doing it, the podcast I do for myself, basically, but it also kind of helps the audience, or if I'm able to help, whoever's listening, then it helps me, and I've talked about that before, and so I just kind of feel motivated to go ahead and kind of get into the video, and really start working with it. And then it's not so much for me, because a lot of people, they'll put up their vacations and this and that, and, kind of who cares about that, unless it's some kind of exotic place or whatever. But, I think the better videos are the ones I watch anyway. that I end up watching are the ones that kind of teach me something, you know. And I think that's much more useful, you know. And so I think it'd be useful for me to learn, you know, to sort of hone my skills as far as being able to produce stuff that's actually useful for people, both in terms of audio and video. So, but so anyway, this is kind of fun, and you know, we'll see how it goes. But the computer that I have this hooked to, you know, sometime back, I bought a gaming computer, and I don't know all of the specs of it, you know, but the thing is fairly beefy, and it seems to do a pretty good job with video, and it doesn't really seem to get bogged down. And you know, so it seems to be working fairly well. And the other thing that I got was you know, that I'd ordered from Amazon was a Logitech Brio. It's called a Brio 4K webcam. And now, in order to use that and utilize the 4K capability, what you have to do is you have to have a USB 3 port. And so I'm not sure how many machines I have that have USB 3 ports, because this gaming machine actually has 1 or 2 USB 3 ports. Usually they're blue. I kind of found out. The HP, that 4-year-old HP all-in-one that I have in the other room, 27-inch, it actually has 1 USB 3 port, and one or both of, probably at least the newer, you know, that Surface Pro 7 that I have, it probably has a USB 3 port. I don't know. And I'm not sure about, you know, I still have the Surface Pro 3, and I'm not sure what it has as far as USB is, probably USB 2. But the Surface Pro 7 probably has a USB 3, but I don't know. So anyway, you know, I'm experimenting with this, and will continue to experiment with it while I'm home, because I can. So anyway, I've got a response file from Joel here. And he had listened part way through, you know, because in the last podcast I was talking about the labor shortage. And the main gist of my theory, which I didn't get to till the end, was that the reason we're experiencing labor shortage, it just didn't happen overnight like a lot of people think. It is... It was revealed after the baby boomers. You know, a lot of them have retired, and you've got people that just, you know, aren't going back to work or whatever, for whatever reason. But the big problem, I believe, was that, you know, years and years and years of all these abortions. You know, there's probably 40 million of them that would be alive today. 40 million people would be alive. Can you imagine 40 million people just wiped out? What kind of a difference would 40 million people make to the United States of America? Now, worldwide, I heard a statistic, 40 million babies have been aborted worldwide since January of 2021. 40 million. And that's just this year, but that's worldwide. That's just insane, you know. So, but you know, it's like I said. Hope the living or the people, especially the people that aborted, and then they're bitching. I hope they enjoyed their convenience, because that's what they always say. Well, I don't want to burden myself with a baby, with this inconvenient byproduct of sex, this non-viable tissue mass. I don't want to. It wouldn't be fair to the baby, so we'll just kill it, so that it doesn't have to go through unfairness. And we'll just kill it because I don't want to, kind of have to deal with the fact that I'm pregnant. So, and they always use the excuse, well, I want to get a job, and I don't want my future ruined by a child. I'm living in poverty. Well, whatever. Hope you enjoyed the time that you had, because it's gone now. And I don't see it returning to what it once was. So, oh well. I will adapt to whatever I have to adapt to. That's easy. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and start playing Joel's file here. So here is Joel.
Hey, Tom. Joel McLaughlin here, listening to your latest... Oh, excuse me, hit the stretch. You're talking about the labor shortage. I know you're probably going to go into some of the things there. I'm going to talk about this a little bit. I think some of what you're saying, and I'm not all the way through that subject yet, so bear with me. But some of that I agree with. I do agree there's a lot of people who are tired. I know for a fact, at least in my industry with the colleges, that's kind of why I have a job. It's that there's people at these colleges that we host their software for that have retired, and they don't know how to do what they're doing anymore. So, like, for example, right now, one of the things I'm doing, and finally getting to it, because things have been quiet this week, thankfully, is going through a list of jobs that they are running on a daily basis in their, what they call, in Linux, it's called cron, or in Windows, it's called the task scheduler. So essentially batch jobs that do things. And I'm going through to see what each one does. In this case, I'm not sure that the client I'm working with actually doesn't know what's going on or what, but I know that some of the things that they're doing is a little overkill. But beyond that point, to get back to where we're going here with this here, I definitely think that's part of the problem. I think another part of the problem, too, is especially in the restaurant areas, has been kids these days seem to be doing a whole lot more. There was always that kid when I was in high school that did 4 or 5 sports and played concert band and did this or that. These overachievers. But now it seems to be more and more all the kids are doing that, or trying to anyway. And like when I was in school, all I did was band. I didn't do sports. I didn't care for sports. Still don't. But and that's what I did. You know, that was my well, both an educational and a like intramural activity or whatever, you know, because we did things after, you know, during times that aren't school time, you know, like playing football games and, you know, marching parades and crap like that. So of course we did that. But it was an educational thing too, and I was learning how to play music and learning how to love music. So I loved playing my saxophone when I did. Nowadays, though, everyone's being this overachiever. They're doing sports, they're doing this, they're doing that. And then in some cases outside of school, they're also playing things like baseball travel leagues and crappity crap like that. So we have this local Facebook group that is pretty much just for people who live in this area or are moving to this area, or people that have lived in this area. And someone says, well, even their kids can't get a job because they're not willing to accommodate their kids' travel league. And I'm like, I'm sorry, that's how life works. Burger King, McDonald's, Taco Bell, KFC, whoever, they care about running the business. They're not going to bend over and hire someone who's going to be out every other day because of sports. So and that's it. And most of them too, they're consider you're looking at high school until you're a certain age, you can't work over at like I think it's going to vary depending on the state, but you can't sometimes depending on like how old you are, you can't work over 20 hours a week, or you can't work over 30 hours or something like that. In either case, you're usually looking at a very limited amount of time they need to work at all. Now, in the period of time when I got a job, I was lucky to get 16 hours. Nowadays, they probably want someone, whoever they hire, because they're so short-handed, they're going to have to be able to work weekends, Fridays, and an hour or so every once in a while during the week as well after school, and before a certain time at night. Like I think Ohio, if you were 14, you had to be sent home by 9 o'clock, so you couldn't work past 9 o'clock or something like that. So, and I'm sorry. Businesses care about business. They don't care about all of your personal life. It is quite a bit different than when you get your first full-time job. But that's why you have things called vacation days. Like I'm taking vacation next week for the holiday, so I can go visit my dad. All right. That's when that's when I'm going to do that and extra things. And drive my new car on a long trip for the first time. But anyway, so that's a huge part of this, especially in the restaurant business. And the left has this weird thing that there are people working in these restaurants that are doing it to feed their families and pay for their homes and stuff like that. To a point, maybe, but I think that's more of once you get out of the hourly shift things, like once you become a shift manager, or once you become an assistant store manager or something like that. Though in those cases, you might be working to pay things in your family, but you're not making less than You're not making $15 an hour or less when you get to that point. You're making more. I should know. My brother, when he had come out here to go to college, and then eventually stopped going to college and just threw himself at his work, became shift manager, then an assistant store manager for a local franchisee of McDonald's. Okay, and yeah, he was raising a family and working there for keeping his young family at the time fed and in an apartment and stuff like that. But when he lived up here too, he didn't live in his own apartment. He was actually living in my mother-in-law's apartment, or his mother-in-law's apartment, I should say, not mine, with his wife and his daughter at the time. Now he has a daughter and 2 daughters and a son, and they're both all grown. But he didn't stay there to work there forever. When he moved down to live closer to my mom and dad, he ended up doing the same thing. He's working as store manager, assistant store manager for one of the McDonald's chains down there, and he was doing that. And then at one point, something happened. They blamed him. They didn't accuse him. They didn't send him to court or nothing, but they fired him. All right. The McDonald's chain did. So then he went to go work for Chick-fil-A. And then since then, he's worked for Rubbermaid. Then he worked for another plant down in Tennessee that did the store displays, made the cardboard stuff for the store displays. And then he went back to Rubbermaid. I think he's at Rubbermaid again now. So, and what he does there is he actually, I think he's like a shift manager there or something now. When he first started, he was actually online making Sharpies. And they do make some things here in the States. A lot of people think nothing's made in the United States anymore. Well, no, Rubbermaid makes the Sharpies in Tennessee. That I know. But, so in his case, he's a little younger than me, like a year or two. I'm 50 now. But in his case, he was never for one with labor or anything when he worked for the fast food restaurants. But the left seems to think that you're going to work for life for a store. And that's just not the case, So what I think is happening, another thing that's truly happened, is when all the restaurants were closed during the pandemic, the people who couldn't get regular work at their normal workplace went and found another job so that they can take care of their family, or that they can eat. and what they ended up doing is they went out and got a better job. Doesn't have as crappy hours, so you don't have to deal with the customers as much. All right? And then when the store would call them back and say, hey, you want to come back? We need you. They're like, no thanks, I got a better job. So in every one of those cases, I think that's truly it. So beyond that, though, I think there's also supply shortages. I know there were, I don't know, you probably never did, but I know there were truckers who have parked their trucks because of some of the vaccine mandates in some states. Same thing with dock workers and stuff like that. So a lot of the supply chains are broke as well. Although not that, not as bad as the president would have you think. Generally, I have been able to find, like at the beginning of the holiday season, I haven't finished my shopping yet. I've got some more things to do. But I have been able to find pretty much everything I wanted. I've ordered stuff on Amazon and got it within a day. Right now I ordered a whole bunch of stuff for my son's present this year, and it's all coming to us, and we should have it all before December 25th, and even before I leave. So, but in any event, I think things are not as bad as some people think. I do agree that the shortage is real. And I think there's stuff that can happen to make it better. I don't blame it fully on, there's people that says that they have to be sitting and collecting government money. I don't think that's happening anymore. A lot of people just have wrong ideas with this stuff. So, sorry to leave you a 12-minute message, but oh well.
All right. Well, thank you, Joel. Yeah. So points taken. I think that all of the things you said were valid, but I do believe that all of these baby boomers were working. And it was like I described in the last podcast, it's kind of like a big bulge, a giant bulge moving through the system Sort of like when some certain snakes, when they eat, you can see this bulge and it starts moving through the snake as it goes through the snake's digestive system, and it usually, and then it dissolves and kind of goes away. But so this bulge went through the system, and it was towards the end, and now you got, that caused millions of baby boomers to retire, which I'm one of them, but I'm not going to retire yet. I like spending money. So a bunch of them retired, and I think people, they were freaked out by the virus or whatever. And then, and then a bunch of them were just retiring anyway, and they're continuing to retire. Now you have there's a tiny percentage of people. I thought it would be bigger than this, but I don't know. I was reading some article, and they were saying that only 3% of people unretire. So only 3% of people will actually unretire, which that leaves 97%. Once they retire, they stay retired, apparently. So, but I think that all of these baby boomers, for whatever reason, leaving the marketplace, have kind of uncovered the problem that was already there, that was already brewing. Namely, the millions and millions and millions of abortions that have happened over the years. Since, it was legalized everywhere in the U.S., all states in 1973. Now, prior to that, it was actually legal in some states, but not others. But, of course, the people pushing it wanted it to be legal everywhere because, people have this idea, and, it applies to all of us. If we have some sin that we like to hold on to, we kind of like whatever our sin is, we want that sin to be legal, and not only do we want it to be legal, but we want it to be approved and, sanctioned, maybe even promoted, to try to get rid of the guilt problem. But then the problem is it's a bottomless pit. It's never enough. So, you always have to have more and more and more to try to eliminate the guilt problem. So, but in any case, reality has a way of kind of hitting you in the rear end sometimes, and you don't get away with things. I really believe that you don't get away with anything, actually. And I know some people think, well, yeah, you do. You can get away with things, but I think in the end you don't. You really don't. So, But anyway, that's. You'll just, these different businesses are just having to deal with whatever the problem is. Now, see, the interesting thing is there were places, a lot of industrial type places did not shut down. And so when I was driving, when I drove up to Rogers, I had to drive by some pretty good sized plants that had been there for years. One of them is Beckert or Beckert, and I'm not even sure what they produce there, but that plant is a pretty good-sized place, and it's been there for a long time. And they've got help wanted signs now. I don't think they shut down their production for the virus. I don't believe they shut down, and yet here they are. Why do they have help wanted signs? Because they didn't shut down the production. So why are they wanting help? They didn't let people go. Probably because the people that they had working there, the baby boomers, are probably retiring. And I see other places that are similar to that you would never see. Prior to this, you would never see them or hardly ever see a help wanted sign in some of these places, and then now all of a sudden they're everywhere, all over the place, and they're having a terrible time trying to recruit people that can actually do the job. So. But that also benefits me because it, like in my case, it tends to drive the wages up. And, there's been some tremendous upward pressure on my income for, I'd say especially the last year. And, but in the meantime, I'm going to continue working. So anyway, I happen to remember that I have actually a screen capture of a website. This is actually the green screen, and I don't know. It's kind of squirrely the way that they've set this thing up. Their webs. I don't know. I guess the customer. If you're selling things on Amazon, you probably have control over how the thing is. But see, it says on the left, it says, because you have the picture of the green screen itself, and then to the right of that, sort of the lower right corner of the green screen picture there, it says 61 by 72.5 inches, and it's 139 whatever 55. 99 rather. Now see, I got it for 111 because the day I bought it, they had it on sale. They dropped the price down, so I got it for like 111. But then to the right of that, it says 5 foot by 6.5 feet, blue green, and it's $49.99. Well, those are the same sizes. One of them is in inches and the other one's in feet. Now, so I don't quite understand what they're talking about there. But in fact, I did get the bigger one and got it for about $111, and I'm very happy with it. Very, very happy with it. I'm going to have lots of use out of this thing. So anyway, let's go back to the. There I am. So, yep. So I'm going to have to be, manipulating this and see if I can get some, I'll experiment with more lights. And, of course, I can, this background is just a picture, so I can, I've already, kind of come up with a bunch of different types of images. Like space images and, like Hubble images, and there's all kinds of, like cityscapes. There's tons of different interesting backgrounds that you can come up with. And then plus, I found this particular picture on the internet. But there's tons of, I could take a bunch of the pictures, my own pictures as well, and stick on here. So it's kind of fun. Actually. So anyway, I think I'm going to bring this to a close, and so we'll see how this works. I'm using it's a free software. It's called OBS Studio, or Open Broadcaster Software, or Open Broadcaster Studio. Like I say, it's a free software, and they want you to donate to it, which I may do because it's kind of a neat program. And it, periodically they updated it. I did know that it existed prior to this, but I never really messed with it. But it's got a lot of features, and I'm gonna just have to. Over time, as I use it, I'm going to just have to kind of dig into it and figure out how it works, and because there's I was hoping that it would be able to record, because I'm doing this all in real time. Normally when I record the podcast on a Windows machine, I'm using a really old software, Adobe Edition 1.5, which that's like it's probably 15 years old or more. But it still works. And, but I do it kind of manually, so I'll record a file, each one of the audio files, and then I sort of assemble it. Well, in this case, it's all, this is all happening in real time. So I'm, whenever I play the outro, I don't think I got I just realized now I didn't put all the files in there. Oh well. But I'll edit those in. All of the outro stuff won't be in the video, but, the main thing will be in there, but I got distracted and I didn't get all of the audio files kind of punched in there into this Stream Deck. But anyway, now I forgot what I was talking about. So anyhow, probably better bring this to a close. And I know what I was going to talk about. There probably is a way of, I don't know if there's a way of, because it is recording a video, like an MKV file, or I think that's what it was, that this makes MKV, and it can do different types of files, but I don't know if it is actually, if it has the capability of doing a separate MP3 file or not, because otherwise I'll have to split the MP3 file off specifically for the podcast, which I can do that. That's not that big of a problem, but I will have to make an MP3 file out of the M4. What is it, M4V or MK? I'm not sure what kind of file it was producing. It's a video, one of the video formats. So it would be nice if it would also split off just a plain audio MP3 file, but I don't know that it does that or not. I couldn't, I was digging around in the settings. I never did see that, but it may well do it, and I just, haven't found the capability yet. So, but like I say, I can still split that off. That's, know how to do that, so I can do that. So anyway, hope everyone has had a great week. Hope you have a great weekend coming up. And I will catch you later.
Remember, Trucker Tom is like Visa. He's everywhere you want to be.
Product reviews, restaurant reviews, photos, opinions, and more. Visit Trucker Tom's website at www.truckerphoto.com. You've been listening to Trucker Tom's podcast, and we'd love to hear what you have to say. All you have to do is send us an email to tom@truckerphoto.com.